Life is a gift. It is a gift to us and through us. Let us be open to its flow. Let us be open to sharing our special life gift with each other. We meet in celebration of the life that is given to us and through us. Let us this morning turn our thoughts to how we can touch and be touched, to how we can love and be loved, how we can forgive and to be forgiven, how we can heal and be healed, so that the goodness of our lives will be a shared blessing. Amen. This is neither a joy or a sorrow, it just is. Don't be afraid of Trump. Don't be afraid. I mean, he's doing some good things. He's bringing up all the stuff that was on this underneath that people felt, and the anger and the fear, and he's bringing that up. And I don't know. I just like to know where people are coming from. And so, I mean, I do believe that, and I don't believe in evil in the traditional sense. I was thinking of King's quote that, how does he put it, that good defeated is still more powerful than evil triumphant. I'm not really big on evil, but, you know, I think, you know, it's good, and it's waking all of us up to, you know, just the attitudes that are out there. But again, keep focused on the world you want to create, right? Not the world you don't want, because that's just quantum physics, right? What you focus on, you create.
Half full rather than half empty.
Well, that's a perspective, and it's a valid perspective. But if you believe that we're going to hell in a handbasket, then you're probably more likely to create that than you believe that, you know, we can make the world that we want. I mean, there are Trumps all over, in one way or another. And I know people say, oh, he's like Hitler. Well, that's real extreme. He may have the potential to be, but that's very different. But also remember, our first principle is the inherent worth and dignity of the individual. Not the inherent worth and dignity if you agree with me. Not the inherent worth and dignity if you look like me. But he has that. And you don't have to agree with anybody, but if you lose sight of that, then you become Trump. Because he's forgotten who and what he is. So, also I just want to, you know, it's a gorgeous day. I think it's going to be very spring-like this week. And I'm looking forward to it. We don't have a candle light, but let's hold Brother Scalia, who's gone on to another level of existence. You know, he's, well, again, whether you agree with him or not, he has a legacy. And so I just lift him and his family up. And for those of you who, for whatever reason, did not wish to speak, for whatever reason, we keep you in our hearts and minds and thoughts and prayers. So, now I invite you to join in the spirit of prayer and meditation. At the center, why am I holding this? I have my own. Nothing gets by me. At the center of a busy life, let there be a pause for recollection and a point of beginning. And though our imagination be infinite, our ideals sublime, and our vision unbounded, we are reminded, just like Mr. Trump, that we are mortal creatures. We live in history. We are subject to death. Our individuality can sometimes separate us. Our struggles weaken us, and death always awaits. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, says that death smiles at all of us. And when it does, all we can do is smile back. There are times when life is less than we desire, times when we are not what we might have been. But let us look within ourselves to find and acknowledge those discontinuities that keep us from growing, that keep us from being free. In silence, let us meditate, pondering the glories and mysteries of our lives, listening to the wisdom of our hearts and minds. In the sacred stillness of a shared silence, let us listen and be grateful. And now, while our minds are one, I leave you with the eloquence of silence. All right. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Today is our canvassing Sunday. Well, the 20th is next Sunday is ours in Black Mountain. When we think of canvassing Sunday, we normally think of the Sunday where the minister gives a fundraising sermon, right? To raise funds for the church. The minister, if he or she is good at it, is supposed to do it like a dentist. First gently putting in the right amount of Novocaine to numb the pain, and then doing the tough stuff about raising money, but in a painless way, so that the congregation won't feel it. Or we can look at it as time, talent, and treasure Sunday. And so we talk about the time, the talents, and the treasures that we're going to pledge to the fellowship. Or we can also think of it as, of a steward and stewardess on an airplane, making sure the passengers are comfortable during the flight, tending to their needs and so forth. Yet, stewardship or canvassing is not about the narrow slice of life we call offerings to the church, or that narrow slice of our time, talents, and treasures that we give to the congregation. We don't tithe in Unitarian Universalism. Sometimes I think we should. We have a history as a denomination of being generous in some aspects, committees, outreach, but not being so generous when it comes to maybe salaries of staff and what have you. And again, that's not personal. You can look at data. That's our history. Stewardship is taking care of the precious property and people that we have been entrusted to by life itself. It's a paradigm shift, so I'm asking you to shift your consciousness. Remember, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. In short, it is the intentionality behind our giving that makes the difference. That you give with a free spirit. That you give with an open mind. Not like, oh, here they come again. No. Keep it, if that's your attitude, because that energy we don't want in the plane here. We don't want that. Because that blocks the abundance that we need. We must all count our blessings. To whom much is given, much is required. So the question is, do you, individually, believe you're doing all you can in the area of giving? And if the answer is no, what do you think hinders you from doing more? Some people would say, if I had a better job, I'd be able to give a little more. If I had more retirement funds, I would be able to give a little more. If I could get out of debt, I would give more. But actually what most people need is not simply more money, but more motivation. Let me share a story with you. It's told from the Hindu spiritual tradition. One evening, a Hindu ascetic was just getting ready to sleep under a tree when he was approached by a villager who came running up to him asking that, give me a precious stone. You have a stone that I need. The ascetic says, what are you talking about? I'm exhausted. What stone? What are you talking about? And the guy said, Lord Shiva appeared to me in a dream last night and told me that if I came to this place at dusk tonight, a very devout holy man would give me a precious stone that would make me unbelievably wealthy. The ascetic said, I think I know what you're talking about. And he rummaged in his bag for a moment, and smiling, he said, yes, Lord Shiva probably meant this one. And I found it in the forest today, but you can certainly have it. And the villager gazed at the stone, he was looking at the kaleidoscope of colors, and he was awed by it. It was as large as his fist. And even in the fading light, you could see how much it was worth. He took it and he walked away. But when he got home, he couldn't sleep that night. He was deeply troubled. So the next morning at dawn, he rushed back to the ascetic and he put the diamond back in his hands and he says, I don't really want this anymore. I don't want this. What I want is whatever you have that makes it possible for you to give it away so easily. And so this story brings up the heart of stewardship. Stewardship is not primarily about money. It's about two things: gratitude and the difference between a possession and the trust. So let's start with gratitude. Gratitude is at the heart of spirituality. If you don't like the word spirituality, the cultivation of an inner life, whatever works for you. It's been said that the best kind of giving is thanksgiving. Garrison Keillor describes guilt as the gift that keeps on giving, and Sigmund Freud, wow, it's true. And Sigmund Freud believed that guilt is what made civilization work. But this is even more true of gratitude. Gratitude is the link between receiving and giving. It sets up an endless waterfall of give and take. At times it can truly appear in our culture that we teach entitlement as opposed to gratitude. But the deeper truth is everything we have comes to us as a gift. When we die, we can't take it with us. And so the gift is in every breath that we take, every ability, every opportunity, and every moment of our wild and precious lives. Becoming conscious of that reality changes us from the inside out. Research demonstrates that gratitude contributes powerfully to human health. It contributes to happiness and social connection. Initiating even a single contact with someone towards whom you feel grateful can affect your mood and their mood for months. You want to cultivate an attitude of gratitude? Take a moment when you go home, or even now, and think of 2 or 3 things that you have received as blessings or gifts, and notice the gratitude that you do not have to create, but which arises in you, as you said. about your lovely wife. Gratitude you expressed. Do this each night before you go to sleep. And then watch as your awareness of your gifts increases and your response to them begins to change. Now, possession and trust. A second thing is understanding the difference between the two. When we view something as a possession, and this is the ego mind, we think of it as mine. That's mine. You're mine. When we view it as a trust, we recognize that rather than it being mine, it's simply mine to take care of. A steward is a person who takes care of precious property which is not his or her own. This fellowship, for instance. Now, you are also expected to develop your gifts and talents to put them to use so they produce a yield. Time, talent, and treasure are not to be used they are to be used. They're not to be hoarded. You know, Phil and Sheila can't do it all. They may think they can, they may have been thus far, but they can't. They're going to burn out. We here at the Thermal Belt Fellowship need you and your gifts. This is the bottom line. Sharing what we have been putting in trust with others is putting them into the service so they can be a blessing to others. The recipients, in turn, can also be grateful about the gifts they receive. And so gratitude works as the gift that keeps on giving. Right? Robbie can't do it all. Now that you've found this religion, now that you've found this fellowship, the Thermal Belt Fellowship, what would you do without it? What would you do if this place wasn't here? Would you want the people of this community and the surrounding communities to lose the chance, lose the possibility of finding a home here? Finding a spiritual community that truly wants to model, difficult as it is, unity and diversity? Something which at times can be an extremely challenging thing to practice. A congregation that lifts up the UU principles and puts them, at least tries to put them into action? Of course not. You wouldn't want to lose this place. I've attended a few UU congregations in New York and in other places, and I resided there, and I met people, when I resided there, I met people who loved our philosophy. They attended the adult RE classes and potluck suppers. They socialized. They made good friends. They came to me for counseling and advice or for the minister who was there, but they would not make a financial pledge. Their response to the canvas was, we think religion should be free. Even though they took advantage of all the services that were offered, they simply refused to acknowledge that somebody had to pay. And there's only one reason to join a UU congregation or fellowship or church or society, and that is to support it. That's the only reason. Why? I'm glad you asked. Because it is a noble endeavor. Because it is open to human beings and the animal kingdom of every race, creed, color, or place of origin. We have a free pulpit where you can hear ideas expressed here which would cost a minister in another denomination his or her career. You want to support it because it's a place where, not here right now, but where children can attend, and they don't have to bear the cross and splinters of guilt or the threat of eternal damnation or hellfire. It is where adults can learn that religion is for joy, for comfort, for gratitude, and for love. You want to support it because this is a place where walls can be torn down instead of being built up. This is a place of refuge for displaced persons who've been wounded from their families and religions of origin. This is a place, whether it's interracial relationships, unwanted free thinkers, and those who challenge religious orthodoxy, they can come here and cultivate their own belief system. You want to support this UU fellowship because we are more concerned with human beings than with dogma. Because we search for the holy and rather dwell on who is and who is not saved. Because we call no one sinner, yet we attempt to understand how deep is the struggle of what it means to be a human being. You want to support this UU fellowship because we're not afraid to laugh. Because we stand for something more than living in a time when many churches are more concerned with who you sleep with, whether you smoke or you drink. More concerned with that than with racism and war. You want to support it because it calls you to sacrifice. It calls you to put your money and your time where your mouth is. You've heard me say over and over again the William James quote, the greatest use of life is to spend it on something that will outlast it. And so put it another way, the gifts of life are free, but that doesn't mean they don't cost anything. Everything cannot be measured in dollars and cents, that's true. And you can all comfortably give of your time. We love that. We are delighted and appreciative of that. And religion should be free. And I don't want to shit all over you. Yes, our religion should ensure that we are free to think, free to choose, free to question and to love. And you are free to choose, to decide for yourself how important your religion or your community is. So how valuable is the Thermal Belt Fellowship to you? How much can you give generously? We have a wide variety of incomes here. We talk about politics here and religion. We don't give partisan political plugs from the pulpit, but we do pay attention to how the political process promotes or does not promote social justice. So now let's talk about money. We have to. There are bills to be paid here. Maybe there's salaries, and my salary, which you give me each time I'm here, religious education, the newsletter, heating this place. We have to support our denomination and support our social action projects, which includes community outreach. All of this costs money. This is the culture in which we live. We can put a budget together and we can talk about it, but the next step is we have to put it into practice. We each have to decide what is fair in supporting this congregation. And in order to do this, we're going to talk it over with people. We have a pledge committee, right? Okay.
Finance committee. Finance committee.
Finance committee. We want to be able to make informed decisions when you talk to this committee. You want to have an open, honest, and transparent talk about what you can and cannot do. And it doesn't mean you're going to be harassed. It does not mean assigning guilt or shame. It doesn't mean whispering or embarrassment. Did you see what she gave? She didn't give those nuts. It doesn't mean that. Talking about money means listening as well. It means laughing and telling stories and feeling good and talking through the challenges. And this is what I hope for your campus. This is what I hope for every campus. And ours is coming up. Just in closing, I hope that each person here will have the necessary information to make the best pledge possible. I hope that people with lots of money will give lots of money. I hope people with smaller incomes who have little money will never feel that they are small and they have nothing to contribute. I hope that no one feels that they have given too much or too little and that they've done the right thing. I hope that you will each feel that you can ask questions, talk things over with your canvasser, with the board of trustees, and if you have a question, please ask. This is your congregation. This is your spiritual community. It's your spiritual home. It's not a cocktail party. We're not here to judge or be judged. We're here to love, or at least to try. We're here to share what we have, to dream what we dream, and have our hopes built upon. So to whom much is given, much is expected. Always has been and always will be. Remember, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. May it always be so. To those of you who came here today seeking the holy, may the holy go with you and in you. To those of you who came here seeking to embrace life, may life return that affection. To those of you who came here seeking a better way, may a way be found for you and the courage to take it step by step. The blessing of truth be upon us, the power of love direct and sustain us, and may the peace of this community preserve our going out and our coming in from this time forth until we meet again. So be it. And so it is. Amen.
Give a little bit, or give a little bit of your love to me. I'll give a little bit, I'll give a little bit of my love to you. There's so much that we need to share.